back.
Not back. He
On Monday.
speak for yourself.
Return and Achav Ani Israeli.
He
Visiting
made
from
Aliyah.
Israel.
That's it. He did the deed.
Visiting from Israel.
He's visiting. He's not back exactly.
Reversing the trend.
Right.
Oh, nice. David Kurtz is here in the room. People who were not put off by 2 measly inches of snow are in the room.
I'm invigorated.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous out. What is it's ridiculous. Hi, everybody. Come off, show your faces if you can. Love to see you. Or is that Jesse Klein? If that's Jesse Klein, come on over here. You're a few blocks away. Walk over.
I know. I'm sorry.
Hi, Brenda.
I'll be there in a little bit.
Hi, Susan.
Is Alan still sleeping?
No, Alan's coming. Hi, Amy from A Warm Place. Okay, we'll wait another minute or so, and then we have a lot of work to do. A lot to do today.
We had 80 degrees this week, so.
Well, I'm coming to Florida on the 5th, so keep it up.
On the 5th, where will you be?
Where my relatives live in like Sunny Isles.
Oh, down south.
Down south. All of Florida is south.
Y'all going down south.
Hi, Rob Rimberg. Where are you? What? I've never seen you on the screen. You're supposed to be here.
Yeah,
2 inches of snow kept you away. What?
I know. I thought he was a tough guy.
What's with you?
What's with loser?
Rob, we can't hear you because you're muted.
You're muted, dude. He doesn't know how to do it because he doesn't rest.
We have 4 feet of snow.
Wait,
You
where
have
is he?
4 feet?
No, but you could crash in 2 inches or 4 feet. Why take a chance?
Oh, there's Paul. Wow. Come on, Paul. Come on down.
I know. What's Paul doing? Everyone's a wimp. Oh my God.
Yeah, this is really.
Oh my.
We see here the real Jews are.
I'm not a wimp, okay?
What'd you say?
Let's talk for a moment about caution shaming. Shaming people for feeling cautious, not wanting,
so
God forbid,
I
to
just wanna
slip on
say-
an icy patch or step into
Okay.
slush.
I just want to say you're absolutely right, Ashachai, but we're really just having a little fun.
Usher
If anyone
down.
wants to,
Usher
like,
down.
zoom in from their warm
Right.
bed, I do not hold it against you.
Right, like having fun, like my high school teacher having fun about too many
Caution.
Jewish holidays. Right.
Lives in Chicago. What do you want?
Caution.
That's very well
Okay,
played.
everybody, all right, you're where you're supposed,
We get it. You're in
you're where
Chicago.
you're supposed to be, and the Warriors are in the room.
Sadly, not in humor, but at our local temple's big Hanukkah party, there were people who said they were there with their kids, and they said my parents were afraid to come because of the political situation. So there's that aspect which is sad, very sad.
Wow. This went south real fast.
Sorry to be a killjoy here.
Anyway.
Who was just saying that?
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Jay, we can't see you.
Hi, Leslie. Okay, welcome. Oh, Sarah, Dolan, Ellen. Okay, let's go. Let's do the bracha thing. Let's do the bracha thing because we've got a lot of text to do today. Okay, everybody, focus. Creating sacred space and time with this blessing. Baruch
atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishana mitzvotav
Tivanu,
la'asot
Amen. So we've got a big, juicy parsha in front of us. Obviously, we can't do everything. We're going to do a part this morning, a part later in services, and the part that I want to do today, or really dive into, is the beginning of the parsha, is Judah's approach and what that means. And in order to do so, we're going to look at some backstory and then land in our parsha. So I'm going to do a bunch of texts. I'm going to do all the backstory and not take any comments until that's finished. Then we'll take a round of comments if there are any. And then we'll jump into the parsha. Sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Okay, so, right. So the question is, the overall question is, what's the big deal about Judah's approach? Like, what's so he approach? So big deal. So why is that a big deal? Okay, so I don't have my computer today, so Caroline behind the scenes is helping out. Thank you so much. Welcome. Wow, Elizabeth made it. You said you weren't going to. I thought of you this morning when I woke up at 4. Oh, nice. Late sleeper. Okay, so let's go back to the brothers in Genesis 37, throwing Joseph into a pit. And they had a whole big conversation. Should they kill him? Should they sell him? Should they save him? What should they do? And here's Judah, just to dive in for a moment into Judah's character. Judah says, "Vayomer Yehuda el achav." And Judah said to his brothers, "Ma betza ki naharog et achinu v'kisinu et damo." What do we gain by killing our brother and covering up his blood? Right? So what we're after gain here, right? L'chu v'nimkerenu la'yishme'elim v'yadenu al tehivo ki achinu v'sarenu hu v'yishme'u echav. Said, "Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, but let us not do away with him ourselves. After all, he's our brother, our own flesh." His brothers agreed. So first he talks in the language of betza, of gain, and then he moves into like, okay, let's not kill him, he's our brother. So there is a touch of humanity there, right? And what ends up happening? Who sells Joseph? Who actually sells Joseph? So the Midianites take him out of the pit, like as the brothers are discussing, and then sell him to the Ishmaelites. So they actually didn't gain anything. They didn't gain anything.
Well, they got rid of him.
David Kurtz says, well, they got rid of him. Okay. By the way, if there are any audio issues, I'm not sure how the audio is working right now. Just let us know.
They thought they got rid of him.
Morning. Hi.
Wait.
Down 8 pounds.
How you feeling?
Wait, Paul, what did you say?
They thought they got rid of him.
What did he say?
They thought he got rid of him.
Oh, they thought they got
Paul
got rid of him.
Paul always one-ups me.
Paul wants to act like he's in the room. That's what he wants to do. Okay. All right. So now let's look at what Tamar taught Judah. Right. So let's recall the it's a bit of a complicated story. So from Genesis 37 to the end of Genesis, which I think is 50, all the Joseph story. No, you were in the right place. That's right. Number 2. Stay there. Okay. Right. 37 to 50, all the Joseph narrative, except with one chapter 38, which is an interpolation of the Judah and Tamar story. So that's really interesting. And you would think, like, what's this story doing here? Like, did the authors just drop it in, like, by accident? But no, there's lots of literary resonance between 37 and 38, and actually with the rest of the story. So we're going to just dip into that story for a moment to see what does it have to do with what Judah did later. So let's review the story for a moment. So Judah had 3 sons. Tamar married the first one died. Tamar married the second one died. To make a long story short. And then Judah's like, oh my God, this woman married 2 of my sons. If he marries the third one by name of Shelah, he will die too. So he withholds the third son, right? Which you're not supposed to do because the widow, a widow is supposed to marry the brother of the deceased husband. Okay. So what happens is she, as other women in the Torah, she wants a child. She can't have a child because she's now what we call now as an agunah. She's like stuck. She's anchored in one place. And she decides she's going to have a child. And how's she going to do it? After Judah's wife died, she dresses up as a prostitute, puts herself by the side of the road. Judah sees a prostitute. I guess she's veiled. Actually, the Torah tells us she's veiled. Judah sleeps with her. And then she says to him, no, he says to him, oh, I'll give you a goat from the flock. Because, well, where's the beef? Like, how do I know that this goat's coming? So he gives her, she demands a pledge, and the pledge is his cord, his staff, his signet, which Robert Alter, the great literary interpreter of the Bible, calls like the equivalent of handing over all your credit cards. Okay, so here's what happens. He's not a tzaddik. No, exactly. Just not Judah tzaddik, right? So, okay, here's the scene with the pledge, and then we'll see the end of the chapter. Vayet eleha el haderech vayomer havana avo elayich ki lo yada ki chalato. So he turned aside to her to the road and said, "Here, let me sleep with you," for he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. No, it's his daughter-in-law. She married first son and then second son, and supposed to marry third son. But Tomer, mati tenli ki tavo elai. What will you pay me? What will you pay for sleeping with me? Vayomer, anochi ashalach gedi izim min hazon. I will send a kid for my flock, he said. But Tomer, im titen eravon ad shalchacha. You must leave a pledge until you've sent it. It's like, why should I trust you, right? Some guy, right, that comes to sleep with her on the side of the road. Vayomer, ma ha'aravon asher eten lach. And he said, what pledge shall I give you? Vatomer, and she says, chotamcha uptilecha umatcha asher biyadecha vayiten la vayavo eleha vatahar lo. So what pledge shall I give you? She replied, your seal and your cord and the staff which you carry. So he gave them to her and slept with her, and she conceived by him. So that's the story of the pregnancy. And then let's see what happens towards the end of the chapter. Vayihi kim shlosh chodashim vayugad liyuda lemor zanta tamar kalatecha v'gam hine hara leznunim vayomer Yehuda hotziuha v'tisaref. So about 3 months later, right? So she's now showing in her pregnancy, and Judah was told, your daughter-in-law Tamar has played the harlot. In fact, she's pregnant from harlotry. Bring her out, said Judah. She should be burned. Yeah. So the reason she's a harlot is because she's not supposed to sleep with anybody, right? She is technically, right, given to Shelah, even though she didn't marry Shelah. So she's committed adultery. As I said before, I'll get to hands after all the backstory, right? This is the backstory to our parsha. Okay. So what does she do? He mutset v'hi shalcha el chamiha lemor. So she was being brought out, and she sent this message to her father-in-law. Lemor, leish asher ela lo anochi hara. So by the man whom these belong, I am pregnant. But Tomer, and she said, Hakerna lemi hachotemet v'haptilim v'hamateh ha'ele. Examine these, whose seal and cord and staff are these. So this word haker is pivotal in the book of Genesis, right? So when Yaakov was standing before Yitzchak, pretending to be his brother Esau, that verb is used because Yitzchak did not recognize his son. Welcome. And when the brothers dipped the coat of many colors of Joseph, belonging to Joseph, into the blood of a goat. And they presented it to their father. He recognized the coat, that same verb, but he did not recognize the implications of what was going on, right? So there's actually some recognition, right? And he says, she's more righteous than I am. Wow. So this is like the first full recognition in the Torah. Ki al ken lo netati ha l'shela b'nei. Because I didn't get rid of my son like I was supposed to. V'lo yasaf od l'da'ata. And he didn't sleep with her anymore. So not only there's a recognition, but there is a change in behavior. Okay, so this is the first example of tshuva in the Torah. And the word Yehuda, right? Some say the root of his name means acknowledgement. Right? Lehodot. Or ani modeh. I'm acknowledging, I'm modeh. Okay. All right, so now let's look at, now we're fast forwarding in the story, and we're saying, like, what are the stakes at this point of the brothers taking Benjamin to Egypt? Now, recall they've been down to Egypt before, right? And the operative word is down, because there's that word, right? That descriptor appears again and again. They go down. They threw Joseph down into a pit. He's brought down into Egypt. So they are going down. And, this is the fulfillment, right, of God's words to Abraham early on, right? Your people will go down to Egypt and will be slaves for 400 years. So there's a famine. And if you recall, Joseph is the one who saved food during the years of abundance. So he's in charge, literally, of all the food for the region. So the brothers have to go to Egypt to get food. They don't have enough food to eat. So what's at stake here is hunger and survival. And on the other hand, what's at stake here is Jacob doesn't want to lose his other son born of Rachel, his two favorite sons. So favoritism is still sort of an operating force, and so is hunger. Those are like, so the two operating forces, and they're in tension with each other. Okay, so here's what happens. Vayom, oh, you know what? Let me turn it over to Asher Chaim to read for a while. If that's okay, Asher.
Certainly. Number 4, backstory 3.
Genesis 42, right there.
Vayomer alehem Yaakov avihem. Jacob, their father, said to them, O tishikaltem, you have made me bereft. Yosef enenu v'Shim'on enenu v'yed Binyamin taqahu alai hayucholana. Joseph is no more. Shim'on is no more. And Benjamin you will take? It's all on me.
So it's interesting. He says, like, Yosef isn't here, or Joseph, isn't. And instead of saying Joseph died, right? And that puts Joseph into the same category as Shimon, who Joseph has imprisoned. So, does Yaakov know something the way Yitzchak knew something and yet didn't know something at the same time?
Vayomer Reuven el aviv lemor, et shnei vanai tamit im lo avienu elecha. Reuven said to his father, take my 2 sons and kill them if I do not bring him back to you. Tnaoto al yadai va'anochi ashivenu elecha. Place him in my hands, and I will return him to you. Vayomer lo yered b'ni immachem, ki ahiv meit, v'hu levado nish'ar, u'kra'ahu ason, b'derech asher telchu bach, v'uradatem et sevati v'agon she'ola. But he said, my son will not go down with you, because his brother died, and he alone remains. And if some disaster happened to him on the road that you're walking on, you will drag my gray hair in agony to its grave.
So Sheol is a kind of like an underworld, and Jacob is saying like, this would put me into endless grief, a kind of living hell. What? Well, kill me, but not physically. No. Okay. All right. Now remember that this is exactly what
Rabbi, sorry, who's saying ki achiv met?
that's Jacob.
So he does know that he's dead, or thinks that he's
So he
dead.
thinks he's dead. It goes
Yeah.
back and forth in different places.
Thank you.
So let's go back to Genesis 37, because this is exactly what happened, right? He went down to Sheol in mourning. So that's the living hell he goes into. So Genesis 37,
Well, if I may, here he's saying, I'm going to go to Sheol right away if I lose Benjamin also. Whereas before, the verse that we're about to read is a little bit nuanced. If I may, would you like me to read it?
Yeah.
ויקומו כל בניו וכל בנותיו לנחמו, וימאן להתנחם. All of his sons and daughters, plural, got up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. Vayomer, but he said, Ki ered el bni avel she'ola. I will still be mourning my son when I die. Vayefko to aviv. His father wept for him. So I think in this Genesis 37, he's saying, I'm going to live a long time and I will always be mourning and I will never be comforted. Whereas in 42, he seems to be saying, this would push me over the edge and send me directly to Sheol.
Okay, that's definitely a reading for sure. So maybe he will die of grief, actually die. Okay. Ramban says something very interesting here. V'shilach lachem et achichem acher ve'et Binyamin. So when he says, wait, let me just see where this was. It is 43:14. So to go back there for a minute. Wait, I'm sorry. Here. Oh, did we not read that yet? What? No, okay, so I'm sorry. So this X seems to be missing. But basically,
Shall I find it in my Chumash?
Sure.
43:14.
Yeah.
This is after they take the gift and Binyamin and they make their way down to Egypt and present themselves to Yosef. I'm sorry, it's right before that.
Right, no, it's not.
Jacob relents and says, and take your brother and get up and return to the man. May God of Shaddai give you rachamim, mercy, in the face of the man. V'shilach lachem et achichem acher, and he will send back to you your other brother, Viet Binyamin, with Binyamin. Va'ani kasher shachalti. And as for me, if I become bereft, I will be bereft.
So Jacob is not naming Shimon here. It's very weird. And what Ramban says, al derech hapshat, that, the plain literal interpretation of this verse is, Ki lo haya Shimon ratzui aviv. Shimon was not preferred by his father, but avur devar Shechem, because of what happened in Shechem. L'chach lo amar et Shimon b'ni ve'et Binyamin. So that's why he didn't name Shimon, my son, and Benjamin. He lo yizkarenu b'shmo, because he didn't name him by name or didn't remember by name. Ka'asher azavo b'mitzrayim yamim rabim V'ilu haya beveito lechem lo shalach adayin et Binyamin v'inachehu b'Mitzrayim. So in other words, if they had bread, if they had enough to eat, he wouldn't have sent the brothers after Shimon. They would have left them there. So this whole thing again of favoritism and the brothers being, sort of devalued for the sake of Benjamin is very much operative. And you can only imagine what they're feeling. Like their family is going to starve to death if they don't go to Egypt. And, Jacob doesn't want to send Benjamin. Okay.
But they didn't have the same jealousy for Benjamin.
But they don't have the same jealousy. So what happens? Exactly. So we're going to get into that. So they seem not to be responding to that favoritism at this point. Something has shifted. Exactly. Okay, let's go on. Finally, we're in the Parsha. So I'm going to stop here and take some comments before we drop into the Parsha. Yeah, Amy, did you have your hand up before? You're muted.
Yes. I had two original thoughts about the Tamar situation.
As long as it relates to the overall Joseph narrative. Otherwise, I don't want to get off track.
Okay. Well, okay. I was just going to say that when he promised her a goat, he was promising her the greatest of all time goat descendant. And
I'm sorry. Say that one more time. Sorry. Go ahead.
When he promised her a goat,
yeah.
What he was really going to give her was the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Goat
So
descendant.
Right. So her children are the progenitors of the Davidic line.
Right. Exactly. Right. And under Davidic law, under Levirate law, the father-in-law is allowed as a substitute for the brother. And
the father-in-law is allowed for the substitute. Yes.
Yeah. So it wasn't illicit. And there was an angel that turned him towards her because the angel told him this will be a person who will bring greatness into the Jewish people. And that's, of course, Midrash. And they were married when he exchanged the gifts. There was a marriage ceremony.
According to the Midrash, yes.
According to the Midrash, yes.
Okay.
That's just what I would bring up.
Thank you. Okay.
I do like the greatest old time reference, though.
That's what happened to that child. I was wondering what happened to the child tomorrow.
Well, Peretz will be the progenitor of the Davidic line.
And Peretz is that child?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Jay, first we'll take people online and then I'll go to the room. Jay.
Quick question that will be in line with what we're talking about. When this theme of favoritism of Benjamin and Joseph specifically, is that not really a favoritism of Rachel?
Absolutely. So absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out. That's the backdrop. So these are the two sons, Joseph and Benjamin, of Jacob's beloved wife, Rachel. And so that love and that grief are still very much operative in the story. Yes. Right. So the rest of the sons are the sons of Leah or the sons of the handmaidens. And they are clearly devalued by Jacob. Okay, Paul, and then we're going to go to the room.
I don't think the rabbis can have it both ways. Judah's behavior cannot be justified by Levirate law, and also see the story as a way of teaching him a very important lesson about acknowledgement. Judah did not understand that Tamar was his daughter-in-law. And that's imperative to the story. The reason the story is there is because Judah did not see her as who she was.
Correct. So I'm sorry. So what's your point then? So he didn't see her who she was. And
I'm expressing irritation that the rabbis are frequently trying to find excuses
Yeah, they
for
justify
these
things
biblical characters.
after the fact, absolutely.
But in this case, it's counterproductive because the point of the story is what we've just discussed. And so excusing his behavior obviates the point of the story.
Yeah, no, I agree. It totally destroys the narrative as we have it, as the rabbis often do. Absolutely.
Smile.
What? How can I smile? I mean, the rabbinic agenda is a different agenda. It's a different agenda. It's a different agenda than my agenda, which is like the complexity of the story and what we can learn from it. Absolutely. And when the Midrash kind of holds that up, then I bring it in. Okay, so yeah, Wendy.
Oh, also, sorry to, before anyone speaks, there is a handheld microphone. Pass it around. It is the talking stick, so everyone online can
handheld
hear.
microphone. Here we go. Elizabeth, you had your hand up?
Come on down.
Okay, Wendy and then Elizabeth.
What I was gonna say.
Can people online hear Wendy? Pull,
No, could you turn on, is the mic on?
look and see if it's on. That also always helps. It's green. Okay, put your mouth to it and see if that works.
Can people hear me now?
Oh, yes, you sound great. Thank
Okay.
you.
All
I
right.
like Dasha Khai's face.
Okay.
Go on.
But even Judah himself disagrees with the rabbis because he says to Tamar, you are more righteous than
Yes,
me.
absolutely.
You are more holy than me. So even Judah, I agree with Paul, even Judah himself disagrees with the
Absolutely.
with the Midrash.
Yes. Yes, that he acknowledges it as a sin. Elizabeth.
Hi, so I feel that this story is really Tamar's story, but we're missing Tamar's story because she's the author of it. She's the one who decides to dress up and go by the road and fortunately fasten on Judah. That's apparently no accident. She's the one who demands the proof, which is, you know, he might have said no, what would have happened then? Suppose someone else had approached her. And I mean, there's many, you know, if this had happened,
She
if that.
plants herself at an opportune
Yes,
moment.
yes, she's obviously, you know, the author of, there's a very big backstory
Yeah.
to this.
Yes.
Could have worked out differently, or maybe her plan would have gone awry. But then I also think that she must have had tremendous trust in Judah because she lets go of these tokens, which are her proof. She sends them to him. So at that point, the power is in
Beautiful.
his hands and he makes the right decision. So she knew.
She calls upon him to be his best self.
Yes, yes. So
Beautiful.
so this is a wonderful heroine, which I don't know, we don't have a story somehow.
We do have her story. This is her story.
It's always treated as a story of Judah, but it's really the story of Tamar.
I agree.
guess that's what
I agree. It's Tamar is an absolute hero here.
But then I have this other.
But that's not my focus today because we're going to go into Judah's story.
Okay, so then I have this other, I don't know, maybe crackpot idea, which I've had for so many years.
Great.
Which
You're
is
finally
that,
telling somebody.
that the brothers, when they go first down and they see Joseph, even though he's older and seems Egyptian, everything else, that he reminds them of their brother. And that's why from they say, oh, maybe this is the punishment. And that's why. And somehow Joseph now has come back to life for that family.
So somehow they sense.
Yes, they
that it's him.
do.
You're not alone in this idea.
Okay.
I don't know if that's reassuring or not, but yeah.
No, it's reassuring. Thank you.
Good. Okay. Oh, good. No, I think it's a good idea. Like what are they sensing? So just so everybody knows the story. So Joseph pretends not to be their brother for so long. It says, and there's that word recognition again in what he does. Yosef. He made himself strange to them. He made himself unrecognizable. Right? So they did not recognize that it was him for, so many years. Go ahead, Sharon.
This is sort of a meta commentary.
Meta, go ahead. Meta.
I think.
I like meta.
For Jews who are really focused on listening, on the Shema, on not going after the desire of the eyes, because of course we know they can deceive, there's all this inability to recognize voices. You have this with Abraham. He hears it's Jacob's voice.
You mean Yitzchak?
Yitzhak, rather. he hears it's Jacob's voice, but he doesn't trust the voice.
Nice.
And the same thing, I'm wondering, how does Judah not recognize Tamar by her voice?
Right.
And how do the brothers
Right.
not
And also when
recognize
Jacob
Joseph
sleeps with
by-
Rachel, with Leah instead of Rachel.
Right.
Where's the voice?
Well, we don't know
That's
if she
great.
had a
Love
voice.
that.
Maybe she was quiet during
Yes,
sex.
correct.
So, but again, with Joseph, how did the brothers not recognize the voice? I mean, they didn't have like a Laurie Anderson box to do something to their voice. It was, before technology of that kind. It's just striking to me that it's misrecognition based on not hearing.
I think that's amazing. And in the case of Joseph and the brothers, you know how fear gets in the way of like your sensory capacities. Like they felt that he was like a pharaoh. Like they're sitting there trembling and he keeps them scared, right? He imprisons them. Then he imprisons Shimon. Then he gives them like money and they don't know where it's from. And then he plants the goblet on, but like he's showing his power at every moment. So how much does that cloud the sense?
They're trusting their eyes and not their ears.
Okay, two last short comments, and then we're going back to the.
So,
the text.
in the spirit of Crackpots Anonymous,
Yes.
I'm going to suggest that when the holy presence, angelic or otherwise, is afoot, it's not. Then shape-shifting is just the name of the game. It's not. It's beyond. Oh, I'm not hearing or seeing correctly. These are shape-shifting times. As our own is, by the way, side note. And to put it differently, as a Jubu, there's no separate self, and we keep on imagining these stories that as separate selves interacting, when in fact there's just one wild divine flow that especially in the holiest moments are any usual perceptions are wildly off base, because it's not only we're thinking in very limited neuroscience terms.
Okay.
It's way beyond it. It's way beyond it into a shape-shifting angelic flow.
We don't recognize that always our vision is limited, and it's like, what we can see is small. And so keeping that in mind actually helps us see more. Keeping that in mind, that we're only seeing like a very limited piece of the picture, helps us see more. Okay, Ben on screen and then back to the text. Ben.
Sorry, my internet cut out right at that moment. So good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbos.
So I feel like this story for me is all about the shift in Judah and Yosef. And so I don't think it's the same. I don't think that Judah is the same person at the beginning of the story and when he's doing this approach.
Right, that's the point.
And I know that's the point, but the thing that people miss is that I don't think Yosef is the same person either.
It's also
so I think that so it's about Judah being brought low. It's about Judah and his family being at their most desperate to the point where they would be able to approach Yosef. And it's about Yosef being brought high to the point of being empowered and being able to be magnanimous toward his family, because he has all of this. He has this extra. He has so much abundance that he can afford to be generous at that point. And I think I think in partial answer to why they wouldn't recognize Yosef's voice, I think his voice has changed. I think his voice has become empowered. I think I think that that's how much their personalities and their positions have changed, that they've actually become partially different people.
Okay, good. Love that. I want to go on.
Doesn't he speak to the
for part of the time. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good point. Speaks to them through an interpreter. Good point. But even if he does, he could be speaking and then being translated so that they hear the sound of his voice. Right. So yes, these characters have evolved, but remember also that Joseph is not only magnanimous, he's cruel, right? He keeps torturing them. He keeps putting them in jail. He keeps taking them hostage. I mean, he is, making sure, yes, change and no change. He's making sure they experience some of the helplessness he felt in the pit. Okay, let's go on. Here's our parsha. You go? We don't know. Okay. Tomas.
Shall I?
Okay.
went some.
Okay, good. Okay. Jake, yes, he was later. Correct. Okay. Vayigash.
Shall I?
Genesis 44.
Shall I read?
Sure.
Vayigash elav Yehuda, vayomer bi Adoni. Yehuda drew near to him, confronted him, loaded word, and said, please, my lord, Yedaberna avdecha davar be'oznei Adoni, ve'al yechar apecha be'avdecha ki chamocha kefar'o. May your humble servant speak a word in the ear of my lord, and let my lord let his wrath not be kindled against your humble servant, because you are like Pharaoh.
So let's hold on one second, Asher. So you said Vayigash is a loaded word. So one of the places we saw it in Genesis is when Jacob comes close to Yitzchak and Yitzchak does not recognize him. Right. So there's that, all throughout Genesis, right? In generation after generation, there's this problem with identity and recognizing one another and coming close, and sort of that moment being fraught and totally missed. Okay, so we'll see what happens here. Go on.
Adoni sha'al et avadav lemor, hayesh lachem av o ah? My lord inquired of his humble servants, saying, do you have a father or brother? Vanomer el Adoni, yeshlanu av zaken, v'yeled zakunim katan. And we said to my lord, we have an elderly father and a young child of his old age. V'ahiv meit, v'yivaterhu levado le'immo v'aviv ahevo. And his brother is dead, and he alone remains to his mother, and his father loves him.
Thank you. Let's just take a moment to take a step back, which I should have done before this passage. So what happens before this is that Joseph has planted the silver goblet in Benjamin's sack and threatens first to put Benjamin to death, and then threatens to take him as a servant. So Judah is desperate. Oh my God, we can't lose Benjamin too, because our father will die. So that's when he approaches. Okay, go on.
Vatomer el avadecha, horiduhu elai, ve'asima aini alav. And you said to your humble servants, bring him down to me, that I may place my eye upon him. Vanomer el Adoni, lo yuchal ha'na'ar la'azov et aviv, ve'azav et aviv, v'ameit. And we said to my lord, the young man cannot abandon or leave his father. If he left his father, he would die. Vatomer el avadecha, im lo yirei rachechem hakaton im ittechem lo tosifun lirot panai. And you said to your humble servants, if your younger brother does not come down with you, you will never again see my face.
So here's the dilemma. And Judah is, sort of explaining it very well. It's, we're hungry, we need food, and our father loves Benjamin. We can't take him down, right? And, here's the recognition of the impact of losing the youngest son that they didn't have earlier on. So there's recognition here. And we know that Judah knows now how to recognize. Okay, pick it up in the next passage from verse 24.
ויהי כי עלינו אל עבדך אבי, ונגד לו את דברי אדוני. And it came to pass that when we went up to your humble servant, my father, and we spoke to him the words of my Lord, ויאמר אבינו, שובו שברו לנו מעט אוכל. And our father said, go back and buy for us a little bit of food. ונאמר, לא נוכל לרדת, אם יש אחינו הקטון איתנו וירדנו, כי לא נוכל לראות פני האיש, ואחינו הקטון איננו איתנו. And we said, we can't go down unless our little brother is with us, and then we can go down, because we're not able to see the face of the man if our little brother is not with us. ויאמר עבדך אבי אלינו, אתם ידעתם כי שניים ילדה לי אשתי. Your servant, my father, said to us, you know that my wife bore 2 children. ויצא האחד מאתי, ואומר אך טרוף קרף ולא ראיתיו עד הנה. One went out from my presence, and I said, he's surely been torn apart. I have not seen him until now.
So, okay, let's look at this locution for a minute, talking about what Jacob knew and didn't know. So instead of saying he was eaten by a wild animal, he said, and I said he was, torn up by a wild beast, right? And at that moment, if you think back to Genesis 37, when he saw the bloody coat, he's the one who supplied the lie. They didn't say, oh, Joseph has been eaten up by a wild animal. They showed him, right, the coat of many colors dipped in blood. That's what they showed him. He said, oh, a wild beast. And he says, Chaya ra'ah, an evil beast has eaten up, or has, torn Joseph up. And really, the evil animal was the brothers. So he named it and he didn't name it, and he recognized it and he didn't recognize it. And he also says here, and this is to your point before, Jay, and I haven't seen him until now, indicating again, like, oh, is he dead? Is he not dead? Like, is he alive? Is he dead? What's going on here? So there's all kinds of ambiguous language being used for what happened to Joseph. Okay, go on.
ולקחתם גם את זה מעם פניי וקראהו אסון, והורדתם את שיבתי ברעה שאולה. And if you take also this one from before my face, and a disaster befalls him, you shall drag down my gray hair in evil to Sheol. ועתה כבואי אל עבדך אבי והנער איננו איתנו, ונפשי קשורה בנפשו. And now, when I come to your humble servant, my father, and the lad is not with us, his soul is entangled with his soul. V'haya kir'oto ki ein hana'ar v'meit. It will be that when he sees that the boy is not, he will die. Horidu avadecha et sevat avdecha avinu biagon she'ola. Thus, your humble servants will have dragged the gray hair of your humble servant, our father, in agony down to his grave.
So to go back to Alan's point before, he's articulating, to me so painfully, the favoritism that Jacob has for these 2 sons and the impact that would have on his father. Like, he's naming a reality without reacting to it the way he did last time, the way the brothers did last time. And saying, like, he's saying to Joseph, like, these are the stakes. These are the stakes. And he's taking responsibility, and he'll take more responsibility now. Go on.
Yeah, can I just do a quick footnote to what happened earlier? When when the brothers were accused of stealing the royal cup, they suggested to the agents of Pharaoh, whoever has it will be put to death, the rest of us will be slaves. The agent of Pharaoh says, no, 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 whoever has it will be my slave and the rest of you just go home. And that's the threat, that Binyamin will be the slave.
First, yes.
And the
First
rest
he
of them are
says
being
death,
sent
and
home.
then it's that he will be a slave. Exactly. Which means that they're leaving without the boy.
On to verse 32.
Yeah.
כי עבדך ערב את הנער מעם אבי לאמור, אם לא אבינו אליך וחקרתי לאבי כל הימים. Because your humble servant took custody of the child from his father, saying, if I do not bring him back to you, I will have sinned to my father forever. Ve'ata yashevna avdecha. Is it Yashev? Or, I'm sorry, Yeshev. Yeshev na avdecha tachat ha'na'ar eved la'adoni, v'ha'na'ar ya'al im echav. And now let your humble servant remain in place of the boy as a slave to my lord, and the boy shall go up with his brothers. How could I go up to my father and the boy not with me, lest I see the evil that finds my father?
So how can I do what I did before? How can I do again what I did last time? And this will surely kill my father.
A lot of killing.
A lot of killing. Okay, Rashi, let's see what Rashi says here, which is a really beautiful comment on what Judah is doing here. So for the servant became, a pledge for the lad. And remember, pledges were instrumental in Genesis 38. V'im tomar, and if you say, Lama ani nechnas l'tigar yoter mishar achai. And if you ask, why am I entering into this contest or this challenge more than the rest of my brothers? Hem kulam mibachutz, they're all outside. Va'ani nikasharti b'kesher chazak, and I have tied myself in a strong tie. Liyot minudat b'vet olamot. They all stand outside the manor, but I have placed myself under a firm bond to be an outcast in both worlds. So in other words, if I fail at this, I'm an outcast in this world and an outcast in that world, in the world to come. So that's the pledge he's taken on, for himself. He has more at stake than anyone else, than any of the brothers. And that's why he's standing forward or approaching Joseph, who's like a pharaoh to them, and putting the story forward, more than all the brothers. So we need to ask, what about the way Judah is telling the story moves Joseph? Because at this moment will be the great reveal. Whatever Judah said here worked, because Joseph finally says, I'm Joseph, your brother. It's such an amazing moment.
Sobbing.
Yes.
He saw something.
Yes. And in fact, as I said last night in last night's services, Joseph's a serial crier. He cries 80 times in this story. He cries more than any other character in all of Torah, right? He's the one who sort of feels the pain of this family. Okay, I saw a hand on, we can stop for a moment before we go to this reveal text. Was there a hand online? I thought I saw one. No? Anyone else in the room want to say anything? No? Okay, Svia.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Nice.
Sorry about my voice. I have COVID, so.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. So my voice is not recognizable. So that's sort of interesting. parallel.
Right.
I think one of the interesting things here is the word vayigash, and that it is not some kind of root of karov, and that the difference in those two roots to me is there's something in it in this story that to me karov has almost like a holier thing of drawing near and a closeness, whereas the root for vayigash is not like, I don't know what word to use, like not as warm and fuzzy, and is more tentative, or I'm sorry, I'm like trying to look at what I was looking at and then I lost you all. Like some of the like the word, the root nagash can actually euphemistically mean to lie with a woman, to be or come near for any purpose, as an enemy, to attack. So I think that there's something interesting in that word choice and something to be learned there. And I don't have the answer, especially since my brain is not operating as well as it might if I didn't have a virus coursing
Thank
through
you.
my
I mean,
body.
I think it also simply mean to approach, but yes, it can be used in other contexts. So that's an interesting question. All right, let's go to the great reveal. Here we are. I'm gonna read this because I'm so excited about it. Genesis 45. V'lo yachol Yosef lehtapek l'chol hanitzavim alav. Joseph could no longer hold back or control himself before all his attendants. But Yikra, and he called out, Hotziu kol ish me'alai, send out every man from upon me. V'lo amad ish ito, and no man stood with him, meaning any man in attendance upon him. V'hitvada Yosef el echad, when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. V'yiten kolo b'chi, and he gave his voice in a cry, in crying. V'yishma'u Mitzrayim, and all Egypt heard. Wow. Egypt heard the cry of Joseph. That's interesting when you talk about, right, the voice and crying, and yes, and Aesop, absolutely.
And they don't recognize.
Yeah. Vayishma Beit Paro, and the household of Pharaoh heard. Vayomer Yosef el Achav, and Yosef said to his brothers, Ani Yosef, I am Joseph. Ha'od Avi Chai, is my father still alive? And his brothers couldn't answer him because they were terrified from his face or before him. And Yosef said to his brothers, approach me, come close to me. Well, approach me, given what Susan just said. Vayigashu, and they approached. Vayomer, and he said, Ani Yosef Achichem. So you see, he's repeating it. They can't take it in, right? They can't take it in. And in fact, we're going to talk about communication and how you communicate later, and how, Jacob and the brothers took in the information that Joseph was still alive later in services. Geshuna, okay. Ani Yosef Achichem, I am Joseph, your brother, Asher Mechartem Oti Mitzrayim, that you sold to Egypt, or that you sold me to Egypt. Va'ata, and now. So now what he says is incredible, right? After that big reveal and sort of blaming them for selling, which they should be blamed, for selling him, into slavery in Egypt, he says this. Va'ata al te'atzvu. Now, don't be sad. And, don't reproach yourself in your own eyes. Because you sold me. It was for the sake of life that God sent me here before you. Because it's been 2 years that we've had a famine in this land. And it'll be another 5 years that there is no yield from tilling. Vayishlacheni Elohim lefnechem asum lachem she'erit ba'aretz. And God has sent me ahead of you to ensure your survival on earth as a remnant, right? Lachayot lachem lepleitat dola, and to make sure that you survive and become, a great remnant. Let's see. Let me just see how that's translated. To save your lives. Oh, Plaita is an extraordinary deliverance. Okay. Va'ata, and now, lo atem, so again he says it. Lo atem shalachtem oti ena. So now it was not you who sent me here, but God, ki ha-Elohim. Leyasimeni la'av l'faro ula'adon. Was made me a father to Pharaoh, Lord of all his household, la'adon l'chol beito, Moshel b'chol eretz Mitzrayim, and a ruler in all of Egypt. Verse 9. Maharu va'alu el avi amartem elav ko amar bencha Yosef Sameni Elohim la'adon l'chol Mitzrayim rida elai al ta'amod. So now hurry back to my father and say to him, thus says your son Joseph, God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down to me without delay. V'yashavta be'eretz Goshen, and you will settle in the land of Goshen, which is, resonant with the approach, right? And Dr. Rachel Annisfeld sees the land of Goshen as like the land of connection, the land of approach, the land of where, we actually can come close to each other and recognize each other. V'hayita karov elai, there's that word close. And you will be close to me. Ata uvanecha, and your children will be close to me. Uvanei vanecha, and your grandchildren. V'tzoncha, and your sheep, and your cattle. V'karcha, the kol asherach, and everything that you have. In other words, here will be the moment of, the family reuniting. So, wow, right? The great reveal, like, this is who I am. And that moment of pointing out, like, there's a larger hand of destiny at play here. So you don't have to blame, shame yourselves. You have to blame, shame yourselves, right? So kind of letting them off the hook at the same time as saying, I'm Joseph that you sold into Egypt. Also saying, but there's something bigger going on here. Okay, so I see nice combo, interesting combo. We'll have, if we get to it, one of these commentators addresses the combo. Okay, so I see some hands online. I'm now going to first call people who haven't said anything, which means Tamas. But Tamas, you need this. So either come close and approach, or take that over there.
Can you hear me online?
Can you hear Tamas? Good.
I hope so. It's an amazing story, and thanks for bringing your amazement to it. The two things that I really don't understand, and I hope the room can help me with, is first, why the masquerade? Why the bullshit? Why the perpetuation?
Why does Joseph pretend not to?
The cup there, you don't know me, I know you, like all this trickery and con artistry.
Yeah, why do you say,
if there's illusion and suffering in the world, one would be obliged to stop it as soon as possible. So I don't understand why Joseph perpetuates the suffering and the illusion.
Nothing like the of being able to see when the other person can't see. And what Joseph wants, it seems emotionally, given the trauma he's been through, is power over his brothers. He wants to make them feel what he felt.
But that's inconsistent with his, with his speech.
Now he's finally ready. He's finally ready.
It's
inconsistent.
It's a strange.
There's development.
I mean, it's.
Maybe where he was still playing with them.
Well, it seems,
and then all of a sudden,
it's true.
I mean,
it's literature.
Yeah, it definitely heightens the literary drama, and this is a very literary tale.
Yes.
But it's strange that, like, in order to have his own catharsis, what's required is one last measure of revenge. and punishment and cruelty and frailty. And like all of us, brother. And you know, I don't know how to assimilate that
Well, you don't know how to
that
assimilate
horror.
what?
Joseph's cruelty and perpetuation of illusion and suffering.
Absolutely.
And the only thing that I can map it onto is the mysterious hardening and softening of the heart of Pharaoh, where it's like, oh, now I'm going to let you go. Now I'm not. And we know that that's by direct divine action, that the heart is directly hardened and softened. Which brings me to my second question. Like that's an exceptional, explicit example of human behavior being directly, almost magically manipulated by the divine. I don't know how to interpret.
Just in terms of the first question.
Yeah.
This is literature. This is the great dramatic moment of the reveal when he didn't want to keep his identity masked anymore because of Judah sort of finally taking responsibility and understanding the pain he brought and the brothers brought to the world.
Well,
He's
it's not-
responding to that.
It's not coincidental, I think. I mean, this is very courtly literature and high literature, and I think it's not coincidental that its only equal in my memory is Purim, and the story of
Joseph is compared
yeah,
to Esther all
and
the time.
right, the mask, the deception,
The masquerade, the mask, the dress.
yeah, it's very much of a piece with that, and the beautiful kind of 1001 Nights of it all. Nights. I mean, it's a courtly romance, which is like satisfying for storytelling, but devastating in terms of its potential ethical implications, which is the second question that really bothers me, where, you know, Pharaoh's heart gets hardened and softened by some direct means.
Well, Pharaoh hardens and softens his own heart, and then God moves in and hardens and softens his heart. So there's two mechanisms working.
So it's done relationally.
In Exodus.
Right, because we're all hardening and softening our own hearts all the time, even at this moment. So
And sometimes it feels like an outside force is hardening our hearts.
So what I'm struggling is this outside force and this inside force, because we are created in the image of our creator with free will, right? Like that's an essential proposition in terms of explaining both the extraordinary potential and the brokenness of the world, and the mystery of the divine's remove from human behavior and action, and why so much happens that doesn't happen in the Garden of Eden. And this message by Joseph that like, oh, actually, dude, everything happens for a reason. And that's why I went down to Egypt, and like, it's God's plan, man. You just got to believe, right? Like, I hate that. I really hate that. And I don't know how to interpret this tale without risking that moral hazard. Because I don't know how to interpret that statement in this tale without becoming complicit in the moral hazard of everything happens for a reason and it's God's plan, which I think is, you know, ultimately a really dark door.
So it's interesting. I was discussing this passage yesterday with a friend of mine who said, like, this for me cements my sense of Joseph's narcissism. God sent me here before you, like he's still the center of the story.
So that he would say that means that he's yet to achieve actually the redemption that we would seek for him to achieve, right? Even after his revelation, he's still just strutting on the stage and participating in narcissism.
Possibly, absolutely. Okay, so
Thanks.
It's 9:55. Oh my God, I have to go lead services. So there's 5 minutes. I see some hands of people that they haven't spoken yet. So I'm gonna call on those people in the room. David, did you speak already?
No.
Oh, so did you have a comment?
Yes.
Oh. There are actually 3 passages here, one of which I know you will hate, that kind of try to explain, that we're not going to get to, that try to explain, like, you know, what's going on with Joseph at this moment.
Yeah, and I did this real quickly. I remember a few weeks ago, you might want to look this up, but Rabbi Sachs wrote a brilliant, well,
A few weeks ago, he's been dead for a while.
Yeah, posthumously. Yeah, like he but it's all about disguise and what disguise means. And he really, it really goes into some depth. I'm sure Asha Hayam read it, but, you know, it is literary. And I think what's happening is there's a lot of reveals going on here. I mean, all of a sudden, Joseph, 22 years later, his brothers land up in the court and all this kind of thing. The brilliance of Genesis and all of the Torah is that it's a human story, and that's really unique to the time. This is the human beings acting as human beings with consequences. Yet the overarching story is really God's story. So the big reveal here is actually that this is the fulfillment of Genesis 15. Now they don't even realize that. They're not even talking about that. He's saying this is how it.
Well, he's echoing what happens.
He's echoing what happens, but the reader, us, I remember the first time I read this one, oh my God, this is so brilliant. It's just so circular. And here's what we're talking about all the way back in the story. And this is how it happens. Oh my God. So to me, this has always been the big reveal in this whole thing.
So this happens in every generation in Genesis, like God has his plan, but it gets fulfilled by like messy human actions on earth.
Yes. And just real quickly, unlike other patriarchs, let's remember that Jacob was a dreamer and Joseph was the other dreamer. So they're not directly interacting with God. So when you dream something and then you wake up and then it actually becomes real. There's something about that that's kind of what's happening. And to me, it's always meant, you know, Jews, we dream. You know, it's and
Beautiful.
we're
What's
trying to
our
fulfill
dream
that.
now? That's beautiful. Thank you. Marla, yeah.
About all the messiness.
Yeah.
Again, I'm a hammer, everything's a nail. You said that
Pull your microphone.
Joseph wanted to induce in his brothers what he experienced.
Yeah.
So that's projective identification and psychoanalytic language, and that's splitting off of your rage, your anger that you're feeling towards someone. You're
Not wanting to own your own helplessness.
And so this is all a story about, you know, we're owning our actions, owning our feelings. And this is a story of splitting off, dissociating, abandoning ownership, and then sort of trying to own and integrate again. And that's why I feel like anything we talk about, it's all plausible because there's a lot of psychological motivations and motivations and defenses change over time.
Yeah. And also I think you're helping me see what Judah did in a different way. Like in a sense, Judah took off the mask of